Yo, what's going on, guys? GZTV, last video of the day here because I have a long day of shopping at Six Flags with my family. They're visiting me at college, so I'm just kind of trying to make this quick. They should be here in about a little under 25 minutes. So, yeah, we're just gonna get this video out real quick. Better Call Saul, the second to last episode of season 4. Wiedersehen. Why, I don't know how to say this name, but it's based on them. I don't know. We'll get into the plot. All right, plot and critical reception. You guys know how these are structured. Jimmy McGill and Kim Wexler work a successful scam to replace approved building plans for a Mesa Verde branch in Lubbock, Texas, which plans for a bigger building. So to make it look natural, make it look like nothing bad happened, they kind of scam them, and they spill milk, or they put milk that's leaking on the building plans. It gets all wet, and they have to obviously use Kim's plans that she wants. So yeah, really interesting scam, and Kim is getting into the scam work. I don't know how I feel about that. If your screen is fuzzy for my videos, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get that issue fixed with my computer. On their way home, Jimmy suggests using their skills for more cons, but Jim counsels caution. She's like, look, I'm in a very big law firm. I don't want to just throw my career away because I'm doing con after con. People are going to catch on, right? After Jimmy's hearing, he discovers from the committee secretary that they have denied his reinstatement. So obviously he's very pressed, very heated about the issue. When Jimmy confronts the chairman, he tells Jimmy some of his answers are insincere and he can reapply in a year. So it's pretty much Jimmy McGill has been suspended from being a lawyer for another fucking year as it stands. When Jimmy recounts the hearing to Kim, she points out that Jimmy never mentioned Chuck McGill. Since their dispute was why Jimmy was suspended, the panel members considered his answers to be disingenuous. You can't just forget about your brother. This is the elephant in the room. All they wanted him to do was mention his brother and how sorry he was and the sympathy. Obviously, Jimmy had to be honest. He doesn't really care about his brother. His brother didn't want to see him succeed, and maybe if he brought that up, that would have made it a little better for him. I don't know. Jimmy complains that Kim only slums with him when she wants something, but Kim angrily points out that she has been Jimmy's biggest supporter since they first met. So Jimmy kind of being selfish for his own interests here, and their relationship is just kind of boiling over right now at this point in the show. It's very sad to watch, obviously. So, yeah. That night, Jimmy returns to Kim's apartment and wordlessly starts packing his belongings because he knows the implications of that argument they just had. He's kind of ready to leave the house because he knows how probably frustrated Kim is with him and whatever. Kim asks if he still wants to be a lawyer. He says yes, and Kim says she will help so they can get back together. They can continue this relationship and kind of bond over the fact that these two are going to help Jimmy become a lawyer again and get reinstated. You can post an appeal oh, the board was being unfair with me. So that's kind of where their story is left off going into the season finale, and I'm really hoping that the season finale capitalizes on this. Jimmy can become a lawyer again. Maybe that will feel a little bit forced because they're kind of trying to wrap this season up kind of quickly. They have 10 episodes to do so, whereas The Walking Dead would have 16 episodes. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see how the finale unfolds. I'll probably be watching that tomorrow, I believe. Yes. But anyways, we're going to move on to the other side of the story. The Salamancas and Varga and Gus Fring. So we have 3 different storylines. We kind of have Kim and Jimmy. We have Lalo and Nacho. And we have Warner and Mike. So they have a really cool set of 3 storylines between 2 duos. So Lalo Salamanca and Nacho Varga visit Hector Salamanca, who is in a nursing home. He's kind of healed. He's not able to talk, which obviously we know from Breaking Bad. Lalo reminds Hector of the time Hector burned down a hotel in Mexico and killed the owner, who had treated Hector disrespectfully, and he kind of smiled about that. He was kind of reminiscing over his past life, obviously wishing he could have it back and whatnot. He reveals he kept a souvenir, the front desk concierge bell. That's interesting. That's a really interesting backstory, actually, that we never got off of Breaking Bad. When I saw this, I was like, dang, that's really where that bell came from, eh? a bell from the concierge desk of a hotel that Hector burned to the ground. That's just like a totem of dominance, I suppose. I don't know. That's really interesting. I never knew that when I was watching Breaking Bad this whole time. That bell had crazy implications. And yeah, that's where the bell came from. And the bell gets introduced in this episode. And that's a very iconic part of Hector's character in Breaking Bad, because that pretty much is his character. Plus his facial expressions as well. He ties the bell to Hector's wheelchair, allowing Hector to communicate more effectively. And obviously, when he starts ringing the bell, the people in the retirement home are kind of annoyed by it at first, but obviously they get used to it by the time the Breaking Bad rolls around. Lalo takes Nacho to Los Pollos Hermanos so he can meet Gus Fring in person, then asks Nacho to take him to Gus's chicken farm so we can see where the Salamancas received their drugs after Gus's trucks bring him over the border. So obviously, Gus Fring and the cartel community and whatnot is a very iconic figure. He has kind of this drug empire, of course. So people are going to look at him as kind of this saint. Not a saint. A saint in terms of the drug industry. So he's enthused by chicken. He's like, wow, the chicken's good. You've been franchising? When really that's a sign for, wow, you're moving these drugs. I'm interested in helping out. So now we're going to get to Warner and Mike's story. That's kind of where they ended off. Lalo meeting Gus, interesting stuff, and obviously Gus knows that he's a Salamanca, so he doesn't have a lot of love for Lalo. He just kind of fakes some sincerity. Warner Ziegler's crew blast the rock, preventing construction of the meth lab's elevator, then celebrate because the end of their job is in sight. All they had to do was kind of excavate the thing. They didn't need to build anything. Well, they kind of did, but they just needed to excavate. Warner asks if he can fly to Germany for a weekend with his wife, then come back to finish the work. Obviously, this is Gus and Mike mean fucking business, so they're not just going to let this guy get away with this. They're like, no, you got to come back. You got to finish this job. Instead, Mike Ehrmantraut offers Warner an extra phone call with his wife, which Warner obviously accepts. He wants to see his wife. He hasn't seen her in so damn long. When Mike receives his morning report from the on-duty security team the next day, he notices dead pixels and some monitor displays, hinting at someone destroying the security cameras, and we can only assume that's Warner because they didn't let him go see his wife. He's going to go do it himself. He finds that Warner temporarily disabled the cameras, which permitted him to move through the warehouse undetected and kind of escape this hell that they weren't putting him through hell. I think it was just a good job opportunity for him. He then cut the padlocks for the doors leading to the roof and escaped by climbing down the building's maintenance ladder and just fucking running out of that bitch, I guess. Wiedersehen received critical acclaim, 100%, 9.5 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes. Seen as a great episode. A feeling of inevitability permeates Wiedersehen, a surprisingly mellow and melancholy penultimate episode, beautifully realized by Vince Gilligan and Jennifer Hutchinson's creative reunion. So, yeah. That's all I'm going to say. That's interesting. Vince Gilligan and Jennifer Hutchinson decided to take control of the series, and it worked. I think we're going to get an improvement of episodes in the future. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. GZTV, man. Bringing you guys your favorite TV shows and reviewing them. We're talking about Better Call Saul and Walking Dead. My voice kind of broke out there for a minute, but I'm going to 6